Mill Creek Township Municipal Building in the monthly Planning Commission meeting. At this time, I call the meeting to July 7th, 2026 to order. All please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just like they do in Alaska, right? Please be sure and sign in the attendance sheet located near the door. Next, I would like to introduce the members of the Planning Commission and our support staff. Ray Reed, David Fugate, Doug Prozan, Jean Strohmeyer, and Denise Bizzaro, recording secretary. Behind me, we have Matt Walding, or Julie Maggio, zoning and development officer, Matt Waldinger, director of planning and development, and Jennifer Haniason, township council. Before I begin, I'd like to call a motion to accept the minutes of last month's meeting as written.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The Mill Creek Planning Commission is a recommending body that hears testimony, asks and answers questions, deliberates, and passes our recommendations on to the Mill Creek supervisors who make the final decisions on the issues brought before us. The subdivision and/or land development discussed tonight, if acted upon by the Planning Commission, will be considered by the township supervisors at their regular meeting to be held on Tuesday, July 28, 2026 at 6 p.m. And the amendments to the zoning ordinance would be August 11th, 2026 at 9:30 in the Township Assembly. I ask everyone wishing to speak either for or against an issue to please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. First, we're going to talk about a subdivision plan to show the creation of a 7.484 square foot lot number 2, resulting in a residual lot of 7,915 square feet located at 3312 Hampshire Road, along the west line of Hampshire Road, south of West 32nd Street in Tract 79.
Yes, sir, that's correct. My name is Brian Michael Giordano. I reside at 3312 Hampshire Road, Erie, PA, 16506. And this is the parcel under review, so thank you.
Okay. Do you have any questions? All right. Does the audience have anything? Any questions? We know that we have to have a modification for the 60-foot frontage.
I'm not certain on it, but if you need one, I think the engineer said that he was going to draft a letter requiring a modification. I don't know if it ended up with the paperwork or not, but it should be in there. If it's not, we got to get it to you. But it won't be 60. Each parcel will be 54 and 56, but I own one half, so as far as like the 7 foot, I mean, I'll be able to make it work. I don't want a large front of the house anyway, so it should be, I mean, it should be okay, but thank you. Anything else?
We're good.
Thank you.
The next one is a minor subdivision plan to show the creation of a 4.274 acre parcel to become an integral part of Lot 2 located at 251 Arbuckle Road, creating a 13.509 acre parcel and the creation of a 6.17 acre parcel to become an integral part of Lot A located at 723 Arbuckle Road, creating a 13.51 acre lot located along the south line of Arbuckle Road and east line of Footmill Road, and this is a subdivision plan for Jean A. and Anna M. Gronendale.
Mr. Chairman, while they approach, I just wanted to point out, I think the first address you gave, it should be 751 Arbuckle. I think you might have said 251. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, it is
For the record.
51 Arbuckle.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.
Hi, my name's Gene A. Gronendahl II. This is my father, Gene A. Gronendahl. We're the owners of each of the parcels. We're just putting them back the way they were about, I think it's 7 or 8 years ago, before we had done the most recent subdivision. So we're just going back to the old line, so.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions? Go ahead. Rick, come on up. Yes. State your name and address.
Andrea Todeschi-Grabowski. I live at 835 Arbuckle. So are there houses going to be built here, or what exactly does this mean, minor subdivision?
Putting the original lines back to where they were about 7 or 8 years ago.
We've been there 10 years, so I don't understand what it was before.
So the current way that it's subdivided was to allow for horses with the 400-foot line, and
Okay.
we don't have any horses. We're putting it back to the original. That's,
So you're not going to be digging up and putting in houses?
no, I don't think.
Oh, thank God.
Sir, there is a map right behind you there, an aerial, if you wanted to point out to her that,
Yeah.
Yep.
So here's the current circular subdivision, and we're just putting this line in here so that we each own approximately equal amounts of the
So if I'm there, you're not going to be building like a house right there or something?
We're not building any
Because that's-
houses.
Okay, okay.
No.
I'm happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thanks. We're now going to discuss a land development plan for the Hay Site Reinforced Plastics. Land development plan to show the construction of a 38,611 square foot addition at 5599 Perry Highway with the associated stormwater management facility along the east line of Perry Highway, north of Evans Road in track 342. Do we have somebody here to talk about that?
Good afternoon. My name's Mark Diekman with Hassenstab Architects. I represent the design team, and I brought along with me, David, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm David Janis, Managing Director for the company.
And
And my name is Edward Betza. I'm the attorney for Haysite.
so pretty much as you had mentioned, over the course of like the next 4 to 5 years, there are a certain number of phases that come to a combined total of the 38,000 some square feet, which is shown on the map. Are there any questions, specific questions?
Anybody have any? No? Anybody in the audience?
So just to understand, you're asking for approval of the 38, but will not all take place at once, just?
Correct. To get, well, it'll be kind of hard to, but to, for example, this year we're trying to get built is Phase 2A, which is a bulk resin tank for product, and cold room, which is also a 55-gallon drum-sized product, and all of the HVAC and so forth. Along with that is Phase 6, which is the first half of a storage facility. But then next year would be Phase 2 is a new mixing room next to the bulk tanks. After that, then the mixing room moves to the the second phase next year. Then we would renovate that little part of the plant back into factory space. And then the last phase was 2 phases more. The last one, probably 3 years out, is the bulk materials, which is the silos. We pushed that off, probably because tariffs really kind of tore it up. They're coming from Italy, and that was like a bad deal for everybody. But we're trying to break the project up to make the financial aspect more palatable for Hayside over a number of years rather than all at once. But that's pretty much the plan, is next 4 or 5 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Rich.
Okay. Do we want to go amendments to the zoning ordinance?
Yeah, I can review those now if you would like. I do have the screen there. I'm going to show a short PowerPoint. I may need to move the podium a little. So for several months now, the township has been looking at making amendments to the zoning ordinance. It's something that is a constant process. Pretty much as soon as we're done making amendments, we find something that we may have missed or some inadvertent consequence, so we start a list. And when we have significant things that need to be corrected or some new uses that have evolved, then we will do an amendment. And so we've been working for a while to put this together. Today is kind of the public debut of the changes that we're recommending. After today, we will be putting on our website a summary of the changes that I'm going to speak about today, and then a copy of this PowerPoint for the public to review. And then it is anticipated at the next meeting of the Planning Commission, which is August 7th, I believe, or August 4th, I think that is. Yeah, August 4th. Then they would hopefully consider making a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors on the changes. So just a quick summary of the amendment. What it's done is added the following new uses with accompanying regulations. So those are data centers, transitional dwellings, and what we're titling a significant tobacco retailer. We are adding large convenience stores to the C2 district. We're making some minor changes in the sign and off-street parking regulations to address some issues that have come up in variances or other requests that we've received with issues. We've made clear some time limits that we have on issuance of permits after a variance is granted, and then we've just made a correction to an illustration that was incorrect and did not match what the ordinance actually said. So really the main thrust of this, you can see there in the key takeaway, is working on uses that have become concerns for the residents, namely data centers and smoke and vape shops. I just want to let the public know, anybody that's here and anybody that may be watching, that Pennsylvania is a state where if something is not explicitly in your zoning code and regulated as a use, then it could theoretically be placed anywhere. You have to account for all uses in your municipality, with the exception of if you had a multi-municipal zoning ordinance that worked with multiple municipalities, but it still has to account for every use. Currently, we do not have data center listed as a use anywhere in our code, and so I don't want folks to think that we are necessarily promoting data centers or seeking for them to locate in Mill Creek, but this does allow us to add them as a use, regulate what zoning districts they're allowed to operate in, and then add supplemental regulations on them so that we can try and control some of their effects. So on the screen now is our definition of data center, basically a building that hosts computers and telecommunications equipment for communication elsewhere. Cryptocurrency, transaction processing, AI is, one of the big uses. All of those would meet the definition of a data center. It does make clear, though, that if you have an office building, say you're a bank, and you have a bank of server or a room of servers in your office building, that doesn't classify you as a data center. This is mainly for those large-scale uses. So what this is, and you'll see this come up multiple times throughout the presentation, this is the Mill Creek Township zoning map. All of the districts have been muted in color, and then we've highlighted the color of the district that we're speaking of. So right now, that purple color that you can see there is the I-1, the light industrial district. And in this district, we would allow data centers only if they were 50,000 square feet or smaller. And then in the I-2 zoning district, which is the darker purple areas, we would allow data centers of any size as long as they met our regulations as far as lot coverage setback. So again, it's not an unlimited size of the data center, it has to be fit to the property, but you can have data centers larger than 50,000 square feet in the I-2 district. As part of adding these as a use, we've added some regulations around them. We are making this what's known as a conditional use, so it's not a permitted use by right, which means that if somebody comes in with a plan, they can't just automatically move to the land development stage. They have to go through this conditional use application and approval stage first. Throughout this conditional use application, we would be looking and requiring them to provide what's known as an environmental and community impact analysis, going over how they intend to provide water and sewage service. We do have rules in our ordinance that say that data centers in Mill Creek Township must connect to the public water and the public sanitary sewer system. We would not allow them to be on wells or to use septic systems. They have to address how they're going to handle their solid waste and electronic recycling, excuse me, and then how they're meant to address any environmental impacts such as noise, vibration, dust, and how they will mitigate or eliminate those impacts. They have to provide us with the agreements that they have for electricity, for example, showing that Penelec can service them with all the power they need. Erie Waterworks has agreed to service them, as well as the sanitary sewer system. Both Mill Creek Township's transport and the City of Erie's treatment facility have capacity for them. They have to provide an emergency response plan to the township that would be reviewed by our fire department and our emergency management department to go over and make sure that all first responders are aware of what is in the facility, any special firefighting or suppression equipment that they have, and how to properly operate in an emergency. And then they also have to provide us with a decommissioning plan, what they're going to do, how they're going to remove all of the internal components, and recycle those, all of the computers and wiring. And then they also have to provide us with financial security in order to complete the decommissioning if they ever cease the data center use. One more thing I'd like to point out, I have it listed in the key takeaway there though. These regulations are all on top of the existing regulations that Mill Creek Township has for any land development that may come in. So, stormwater management, making sure that you're following the land development process, making sure that you're not creating undue nuisances. These are additional bolt-ons to that framework. So these aren't the only things that data centers would have to comply with. They would have to comply with all township regulations and these additional. I mentioned earlier transitional dwelling as a use. This would be a type of shelter to house people on a short-term basis, people that are not there under court order, but people that may need temporary housing, whether they're victims of abuse, whether they're transitioning from some other program. But again, I'd like to reiterate that this is not anybody that's court-ordered to be there. The township does have uses that are for correctional facilities or treatment centers that do cover that type of use, and these would not be that particular use in these areas. We have added transitional dwellings to all of the places where we have continuing care facilities, which would be facilities such as a nursing home, somewhere where somebody needs skilled care 24 hours a day. This would be for people that don't need that necessarily medical care, but need some support. So we've added them in, this is the R2 zoning district. This would be a special exception in the R2 zoning district. They would be permitted by right in the R3 zoning district, and then also by right in the C1 zoning district. So those on the screen that I showed there. And again, this is those districts, as well as we've added it to the list of things that could be an adaptive reuse of a school or church building. We have added transitional dwelling as one of those potential uses as an option for somebody. And then what we are defining or using the term significant tobacco retailer, for lack of a better term, these are the smoke shops and the vape shops that have been proliferating around the community. This is being done in the effort to address health, safety, and welfare concerns of the residents. The definition you can see there, but it's basically any place whose primary products are tobacco, vape, all of the different, Delta 8, CBD, Kratom, any of those, or anybody that holds themselves out as being a smoke shop, a vape shop, tobacco store, cigar store. Those are also classified here, as well as any hookah bars. Those are being permitted now in the C1 district only, which is our corridor commercial district. So you see that as primarily along West 12th Street and West 26th Street, and then Peach Street is where those are located. We do have supplemental regulations to go along with this significant tobacco retailer, including that they cannot be located within 1,000 feet of any public or private school or daycare center, or within 1,000 feet of another, whether existing or proposed significant tobacco retail. They cannot have a drive-through. These would be, again, for new significant tobacco retailers only, but they limit their hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. only, and just making sure that they are complying with all local, state, federal laws concerning their advertising, their display, and the products that they have for sale. Other changes we've made to the C2 district, and I showed that map earlier, I think I'm going to show it again here. We have added large convenience stores as a use to the C2 district. The C2 district is our regional commercial district. It has some of our larger stores, Wegmans, Mill Creek Town Center, stores along the northern portion of Interchange Road, Edinburgh Road, and Peach Street. Additionally, wireless communication facility towers are being correctly referenced in the C2 district as a special exception. They have always been permitted in the C2 district per the text of the ordinance, but they were somehow missed being listed under the special exception uses in the C2 district regulations. And so this is just a correction to make sure that they're being placed there as well as in the text. And also for the C2 district, we are increasing the size of electronic message centers to up to 200 square feet just for that district. It would have to still follow all of our existing rules for electronic message centers. If for those that aren't aware, an electronic message center is the more popular type of sign that you see now, where it can change the message, it's electronic. You'll see them out in front of, for example, all of the Mill Creek Township School District schools are moving to those. Even though the size has been increased in the C2 district, that still would be required to follow all of our regulations for the message centers, which make them a conditional use, which make them, you're required to dim them after certain hours. You're required to make sure that they're not flashing or distracting. They have static images that change. All of those regulations stay the same, just the size. Here is the C2 district. So like I mentioned, it's that Upper Peach Street area, and then as well as the Wegmans Walmart area on West Ridge Road out near Fairview. Some other kind of miscellaneous changes that we made throughout the ordinance. Parking regulations. This is in response to some variances both applied for and granted that have happened. Clinic apparently is a very hard use. We've been told to nail down a definitive minimum number of parking spaces, and so we are proposing that anybody that wants to do a clinic can provide us with a parking needs analysis by a registered engineer that proves the number of parking spaces that they need. Significant tobacco retailer, since it's added as a use, has a minimum parking of 1 space per 200 square feet of gross floor area. That's similar to all other retail. Data center, because of their unique nature and the unknown of how many employees they would have, they also would provide us with a need analysis. In the Gateway District, any new land development plan over 5,000 square feet would provide us with a needs analysis. Again, because of a mix of uses, it's hard to determine one set parking number. And then also a parking change in the Gateway District where we require most parking to be behind buildings and buildings facing the front. We're proposing that lots of 3 acres or more can have limited screened parking that abuts the right-of-way, but it can be no more than 20% of the frontage of that property. Going to permits. In our ordinance now, when you are granted a variance in the zoning ordinance, the text of the ordinance says that you can apply for a permit up to 6 months after that variance has been granted. If you don't, then you lose your variance. And also after a permit is granted following a variance, the text says that they're only good for 6 months. The township in practice has been actually giving people a year because 6 months is a relatively short time. So we're just codifying that in the ordinance, making it clear that you will have 12 months. And we've also added the time that that clock starts to the date that of the expiration of any appeal period. For those that don't know, if you're granted a variance, someone could appeal it for up to 30 days afterwards, and so we won't start the clock until you've cleared your appeal time, because most people choose not to start building when there's a potential that it could be appealed and the right taken back. And then, as I mentioned earlier, in the buffer yard C illustration, there were a couple spots where what was depicted on the drawing doesn't match what the actual text is required for the buffer area, and so we've made those corrections as well. So that was a relatively quick run-through of the proposed changes. If any members of the commission or any members of the public have any questions or want to make any comments, you can feel free to do that now.
Anybody have any comments? Anybody in the audience?
Mr. Chairman, I did have one, I guess, observation or question. In terms of transitional housing, was discussion been held about trying to define length, a minimum length? For me, when I think of transitional housing, I'm thinking you're going to be there, I'll just say a minimum of 30 days. No, not minimum, because we're saying 24 months, but on the minimum side of things, if you were bringing people in and out every day, and for example, shelter, is there been any discussion about kind of defining what the minimum would be?
No, we didn't really think that there needed to be a minimum. We just felt the maximum was important. This is not meant to be permanent supportive housing. It's meant to help people in transition, and whether that transition is 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 months, that was kind of the intent. But, if you feel strongly that there should be some sort of minimum stay, we can certainly look at that.
Yeah, it's one I guess I'm pondering myself, because again, I think of transitional housing, and again, I think what a great asset I think it's going to be for the larger community with what the city mission is looking to do at Mount Carmel, but that's obviously not a 2 or 3 day process. That's an extended process. So that's, I guess, for myself, one for me to think about and the supervisors to think about.
Anybody else? All right. At this time, all of the issues have been discussed, and we'll take a few minutes. I don't think we need a break. You're welcome to stay for this portion of the meeting, but no further discussion will be accepted. The recommendations of the commission will be available to all concerned parties after 8 a.m. tomorrow by calling the Township Planning Development Department. Thank you. All right. Let's go after the first one here. A subdivision of the land of Brian M. Giordano. Anybody have any comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve and recommend a modification to allow for less than 60 feet for the frontage for both plots of land.
Second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the next issue, subdivision plan 3 for Jean A. and Anna M.
I would move approval.
Second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. And the last one, the land development plan for hay site reinforced plastics.
I'll move that we recommend.
All right.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Oh, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, was there a recommendation on there about the dimensions? I think it was in your staff report.
Yes, we do need to show the dimensions of the new addition on the plan,
Yeah, and the existing building.
along with the existing building. Can we do that?
Yeah, I think we can make a friendly amendment if, as the grantor of it, and,
And I'll second it.
yeah.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. All right,
That's it?
that is it.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved. Motion to adjourn.
Aye.